Welcome to the channel Masters of Consciousness. This is a space where we dive together into the deepest questions of existence, seeking answers not in the noise of the world, but in the silence of the heart. Today, we stand before a question that is the foundation of every spiritual journey. Who am I, really? Not who I am according to name, surname, profession, or the roles I play in the everyday theater of life. Not who I am in the eyes of others, of society, culture, or history. Who am I truly, without masks, without the past, without the future? Who am I when the whole world goes quiet and only I remain? For centuries, humans have searched for the answer to this question. Philosophers, mystics, spiritual teachers, all, regardless of time or culture, have returned to the same point. Because until I know who I truly am, everything else is like building on sand. I may have successes, relationships, I may suffer or rejoice, but without a deep knowledge of who I am, everything remains unstable, illusory, fleeting. Our identity is the foundation, and if we've built it on external things, opinions, stories, traumas, goals that aren't ours, then our entire life is an illusion. And illusion, even if beautiful, always leads to suffering, because eventually it falls apart. So we begin by removing the masks. You are not your thoughts. This is one of the most important realizations. Thoughts come and go. If you were your thoughts, that would mean you're a different person every day. But there is something in you that notices the thoughts, that sees them, that hears them. If you can observe your thoughts, it means you are not them. You are the one who sees, the observer, consciousness. And here begins the return to truth. You are the aware presence that notices everything, but is not any of it. What is unchanging in you, what doesn't come and go, is your true self. Before we go deeper, pause for a moment. Take a breath. Feel that you exist. You don't need to name it. You don't need to describe it. Just feel it. I am. Not I am someone. Not I am this or that. Simply, I am. This is pure existence, and it doesn't need any adjectives. It is whole, perfect in its simplicity. Right here, in this presence, lies the answer to our question. This sense of I am is like a silent dawn rising within you without words, without sound, and it's been with you all along. Before you learned to speak, before the world told you who you should be, before you believed any story about yourself, this I am was already there. It looked through the eyes of a child, absorbing life without judgment. It is still there. It never left you. It never changed. The body changes, emotions change, beliefs, experiences. But your true self, this awareness present in every moment, remains untouched, pure, innocent, infinite. Look how often we identify with outer things. We say, I am sad, I am happy, I am stressed. But those are only experiences that arise and fade. When you feel sadness, does your awareness disappear? No, it is still there, only observing a different color of the moment. Like a screen on which all images appear, the screen never becomes the movie. It stays steady, independent. You are that screen, that space which receives everything but never becomes it. Why is this important? Because when you start to understand this deeply, not just intellectually but in your heart, you stop getting lost in external dramas. You no longer believe you have to prove anything or achieve something to be someone. You already are. You are already whole. You don't need to fix yourself. You don't need to change. You may evolve, grow, explore, but not from a place of lack. You do it from love, not fear. And that changes everything. Because most people live in the illusion of separation. They think they are just the body, just the mind, and their worth depends on how others see them. But that has never been the truth. When you discover that your essence is consciousness, infinite, formless, yet profoundly real, you start to see the world differently. Seeing your true self, you begin to see it in others. No longer through the filter of ego, comparison, or fear, but through pure presence. And suddenly, what seemed like problems begin to lose weight. The need to control disappears. Fear of the future dissolves, because if you are pure awareness, nothing can truly harm you. Your body may change, emotions may rise and fall, but you are like the ocean, always calm beneath the surface. Deep within you is a stillness that embraces all. When you truly touch this depth in yourself, you no longer need answers from the outside. The answer becomes an experience, not a concept. You start to live from truth, not illusion. You no longer search for yourself in the eyes of others, in success, in past or future, because you see that everything you've ever been looking for is already within, and always has been. The world told you that you are not enough. The system, upbringing, culture convinced you that you must do something to deserve being. But your true self never needed validation. It was never lacking. It has always been silence, presence, awareness. It still is. In this space, you realize you don't have to play any role anymore. Your true beauty is authenticity, not a mask, not an ideal, not a version of you that others will accept. Just you, real, present, conscious. And in this authenticity, love is born, not the kind that must be earned, but the kind that simply is. Because love is not an emotion. It is not romantic excitement. It is a state of consciousness, a natural radiation of your being when nothing stands in the way, when you are yourself, completely, without resistance. Then love is not something that comes from the outside. It shines from within. It is you. And here you begin to see that the question, "Who am I?" is not a door to a single answer, but a gate to infinity. Because you are not something that can be described with words. You are the silence between the words. You are the space in which everything happens. You are the awareness that welcomes every emotion, every thought, every moment, but never becomes them. You are the witness, and the witness never suffers. It simply is, and when you understand this, you begin to understand others. You stop judging. You see their fear, their ego, their confusion, but you no longer react from a place of conflict. You look deeper, because if you are that stillness, then so are they. Maybe they just haven't felt it yet. Maybe they've forgotten. And then, instead of reacting with anger, compassion appears, an understanding that we are all one being that has taken many forms, different names, different bodies, different stories, but inside, the same awareness, the same peace, the same light. And when you see yourself and the world in this way, everything changes. You no longer need to fight for your truth. You no longer need to chase, prove, collect. You can simply be, here and now, fully, completely. Then life becomes a prayer, a silence, a presence, and you begin to experience that you were never truly separate. You were never lost. You were just looking in the wrong direction. All your life you were looking outside for the answer, but it was never out there. It was where you were afraid to look, within, in your silence, in your presence. And maybe right now, listening to these words, you feel something more than understanding. Maybe you feel something in you awakening, something that has known this truth all along, something that waited for you with infinite patience. And there's nothing strange about that, because you are not who you thought you were. You are something far deeper, far more real than the voice in your head. You are pure consciousness, without beginning or end. You are what was before birth, and will remain after death. You are life itself, and this is the greatest truth you can ever remember. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining me on this journey inward. If this message touched something in you, if you felt even for a moment that you touched something real, let it be an invitation to continue walking this path, the path of truth, the path of awareness, the path of the heart. Thank you for being part of this space we are co-creating together. If you feel this message has value, leave a comment, give it a like, subscribe to the channel Masters of Consciousness, and share this episode with someone who may also need to hear these words. See you in the next videos. With love and deep respect. Thank you.